Hey, welcome back to the channel. Indie author Jill. I'm Jill Miller, and the book we're looking at today is Atallan Rising by Seth Madaris. I hope I'm saying that right. The one time I don't ask a author how to pronounce their name. So Atallan Rising is about a 14-year-old kid, Joffrey Rhinehart, who has a very active imagination, and he ends up in the world that he has created through his writing. If you've ever seen Shark Boy and Lava Girl, it's kind of like that, but it's what Shark Boy and Lava Girl could have been. It's one of the things, my stepson, when he was younger, dragged me to this movie, and honestly, I thought Shark Boy and Lava Girl was a very stupid movie. It was mostly a movie with a lot of just stupid, corny jokes. And the thing about it is, like, there are kids in middle school and high school who get lost in their own world, in their own fantasy worlds, the same way the kid in Shark Boy and Lava Girl do, the same way Joffrey does. I definitely was one of those kids. And I like that Joffrey has a kind of a mentor in one of his teachers. He has one teacher that is very a little like aggressive McGonagall. There was a few things that kind of reminded me of different characters from the Harry Potter universe. His English teacher, or not his English teacher, his math teacher, is one of those strict, bespeckled, tight bun wearing female teachers that runs around slapping things with her ruler. I can't imagine Professor McGonagall doing that, but this teacher definitely was a ruler slapper. But she does show a bit of kindness towards Joffrey, where she is telling him, if you could just pay attention in class, you would be so good in this class. And she's excellent in that way, but she's very strict. And then he has another teacher, his English teacher, who is very supportive of his writing and usually can be counted on to come and save the day at the last minute, like when he's getting bullied. But Joffrey has a very realistic life, where the boy in Shark Boy and Lava Girl, he was open about his stories to the kids, and there was a girl that he was interested in, and it was the teacher's daughter or the principal's daughter or whatever. And in this one, Joffrey, he's got a crush on a girl, but she is absolutely out of his league, and he recognizes that, and he's like, yeah, that's never gonna happen. And when he gets sucked into the story, like the bullies don't really make fun of him a whole lot with his stories. They're just making fun of him because he's smaller, he's weirder, he's a little goofier, he's different. He's not the athletic kid that the other guys in school are. But he's more real than the kid in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. He is genuine, and where the kid in the Shark Boy and Lava Girl is like, no, I'm gonna hang on to my fantasies and my dreams and whatnot. Joffrey is like, I need to write my stories, and I want to write my stories, but I gotta stop daydreaming. I've gotta not do that. And so he is trying to stay in his stories without being in the dream world. But then at one point, a guy Lou comes up to him and says, hey, all these stories here that you're writing, those can be real. That you can make that real. And he's like, yeah, okay, crazy old man. And he's like, but you want to make it real, don't you? And basically throws him into another world, and he tells him that, and it's not so much a fantasy world in this respect, because he tells him there's another world. You just have to go there. You just have to be willing to go there, and if you're willing to go, I can get you there, because they need your help. There's things going on, and so the tie between isn't that the world is the world, the other world isn't Joffrey's fantasy world that he's writing in his books. It's a world he's writing about because he instinctively has a connection to the other world. So he's already writing, he's kind of writing down what's already happening in the other world without realizing that he's not necessarily making it up. And then he gets thrust into this world, and I think it was kind of mean for Lou to just throw him into the world at the time that he did, because he throws him in right when the castle is under attack, and he's just like, okay, I went from being a normal 14-year-old kid in North America to now I'm dodging cannonballs in a medieval world. Great. And like, he literally hits the ground running. But he does find Princess Kalima and her stable boy and friend Jareb, and they take him, they escape the castle, the three of them, and they're about the same age as he is, and they're running away and getting away. The castle is under attack, and there's Lord Nikolai is trying to take over, and they've got to find King Altair, Kalima's father. And so it's this journey to find him, and the people they meet along the way I really like, because they get into an area, and they get into a town, and they meet Shiv, who has another Hogwarts vibe. He's got a Hagrid vibe, because he's a giant of a man, and he kind of talks like Hagrid. And you like him immediately. And again, it's one of those, Seth Madaris has taken some beloved characters and some beloved story ideas, and he's just turned them all in, made them all better, in my opinion. Because as much as Harry Potter fans love Hagrid, Shiv is a better version of him, because he's not gullible, he's not easily taken in, he's not easily tricked, he's a skillful cook, he is very smart and very brave and very strong, and he's very kind, and like I said, you just love him immediately. Like, you feel safe with this character. And then they go in and they meet they leave his tavern, and they end up in some wooded area, and they meet these trolls, or Rook and his band of thieves. And Rook gives Gollum vibes from The Lord of the Rings, only he's larger, and Seth paints him out really well. You can almost see this character right in front of you. He's a large troll-like thing, and he keeps talking to himself, in the same way that Gollum and Sneakle, when Gollum would go back and forth between Gollum and Sneakle and start talking back and forth and arguing about different points, Rook is the same way, only Joffrey recognizes that there is something very dangerous about Rook, and he keeps pulling everything back to his stories, and because he knows his stories well, the stories that he's written that have instinctively been about this place, he is able to kind of see things coming before they happen. And so like when they're going through the pass and they meet Rook, he already knows we're going to meet somebody. And then they meet Rook, and when they leave Rook, he's like, that's not going to be the last time we see him. We're going to see him again. And then he gets to the tree people, the Pingretti, I believe. He also, Seth, thank you so very much for the pronunciation guide at the beginning of the book. That has helped a lot. Pingretti, yeah. The Pingretti is the tree-dwelling people, and I love the description of their village, where they're a bunch of huts that are connected in the treetops through bridges and whatnot. And he talks about the younger ones. The bridges are mostly for visitors and the elderly, because the younger kids are just parkouring through the trees. And there's one point where Joffrey makes the comment, asks the question, how do we get down? And the fingry trees are just like, any way you want, you know? And I was like, you should have seen that comment coming though. And it was funny that he didn't. And I love the banter in this, because there's times for formality, you know, and they have those, and then they allow the formal times to be formal and to be serious. But the kids get to be kids, and they get to talk like kids. The teenagers get to talk like teenagers. They get to be excited about simple things like riding on a horse, and they get to have quippy comebacks and smart aleck retorts. And even Joffrey isn't stuck with being stoic and squished down. Like when he's with his parents and things aren't going his way, he talks back to them, and it's not in a disrespectful way. It's just he talks back in a way that gets frustrated, and he's like, Dad, this is what I'm talking about, you know. And his dad's like, okay, let me explain, you know. And the parents do try to, rather than just write him off or dismiss him, they try to reach out to him and be like, okay, we get it, you're upset, and that's fair, you know. So he does have a relationship of sorts with his parents that you sometimes gets missed in these middle grade stories, where sometimes the parents just kind of disappear altogether, and the adults in general just disappear altogether, and it's the only adults that are around are the adults that are going to either help the kid or get in the kid's way, and they're just kind of side pieces in the kid's story. And what I like about this is they're not side pieces, they're not a second thought. The adults are very much a part of Joffrey's story, whether it's one of his teachers or his parents or Shiv or Lou or the fingering tree leaders and elders. They get to interact with Joffrey, and rather than just being a foil or an assistant, they actually get to be a part of his story. And sometimes they treat him like he's a child, and sometimes they treat him like he's an equal. It just kind of depends on what the situation calls for, and that's what makes it real. Because when we're dealing with our own children, there's times when we are like, okay, I know you think you know what you're talking about, but you're still just a child, so chill. And then there's other times when you turn to your kid and you're talking to them like they're an equal, and you're like, hey, we got to figure out supper. What are we doing for supper? You know, or you know, when there's been times when, even with me and my mom, when I was younger, we would be driving around and she's like, which way do we want to go? And like, neither one of us knew where we were at. And I'm just like, let's go right. And she's like, okay, we're going to go right. You know, and there are times when you talk to your kids like they're equals. And there's times when you're like, okay, I've got to be the parent here. And I have to say, no, you are wearing shoes to school. I know it sucks, but you're wearing shoes to school. Other times it's, you know, what do we want to do today? You know, I don't know. What do you want to do? Where do we want to eat? You know, things like that. But even with this, is a little bit more serious, where they're like, okay, we have a war on our hands. What are we going to do about it? And the adults will take Joffrey's consideration, or the kids that are with him who know this world better than he does. They'll actually take them seriously and say, okay, like even at the Finger Tree council, they're talking to Princess Lima, who is, by and large, probably about the same age as Joffrey. She's a 14-year-old kid, and they're strategizing they're doing war strategy right there in the council room, asking her and Jareb their thoughts and ideas on these and what should be done, and they're taking their suggestions seriously. The book does not come to a conclusion necessarily. It comes to a good stopping point, but it doesn't end. And that's the other thing that I think this does really well that Lava Boy and Shark Girl didn't do, is that the people who did like that movie, once the movie was over, that's it. You're done with this world. We're never going back. And this leaves off with the promise of, oh no, we're coming back to this. We're not done. And I believe, let's see, I know there's definitely a next one coming. Atallan Rising, On the Run, and The World Burns. The vision is complete. 2 more major arcs. Okay, so yeah, there's 2 more books in this. So this is the first of 3 books that are currently available, and at the end it says, the vision is to complete 2 more major arcs, each consisting of several books. Stay tuned for many more adventures. The Rhinehart Chronicles, Arenas arc, and Tornald arc. So yeah, there's 2 more there's 2 more series that go with this, that it looks like it goes with this series, but there's 2 more books. There's On the Run and The World Burns from this series. So you're not done. Like, you read the book and you finish it, you're not done with this world. There's more of this world to discover. There's more of this world to be a part of. There's more characters to meet. And I love that he has created this world that you want to spend some time in, and that you get to spend more time in. So, and there's nothing terribly gruesome in here. There's people die, but he doesn't describe in detail the gore of the war that's going on. He talks about, you know, somebody came through and there was an arrow in their arm, or at one point when they do see somebody cut down by a sword, he doesn't actually describe that killing. It's just he raises a sword and the boy turns his head and they go away. They don't even mention casting another look at them. They don't even mention the body. They just, he turns his head and then he looks back up to wait for a sign to move, and the general is talking to his people. So there's no, I would totally give this to a kid. You know, I've said it before, I'm a firm believer of parental guidance. If you want to, I think every parent should definitely stream, vet the books and the movies that they're letting their kids see to make sure that it's something you would approve of. But this is something that I would give the 9-year-old at my church this book, and his parents are very strict about what kind of things that they would let their son read. This is something they would let their son read. It's a perfect book for middle grade kids, and especially the middle grade kids who love to read. If you want your own copy, and you should absolutely go buy this book, especially for the kids or the adventure lovers and the daydreamers in your life, definitely buy it. I will put a link below in the description so you can go buy this book. And I will put a link below as usual for my own books. If you are an indie author and you'd like to have your book considered for being read and reviewed on this channel, feel free to send it to Jill Miller at P.O. Box 40, Limestone, Tennessee 37681. That address will also be in the links in the description below. And I only make that invitation because I know that there are going to be so many indie authors that I'm not going to see, or I'm not going to be able to find. I'm going to miss some, and I'm on the different social medias looking for different indie authors and looking for their books. I'm going to miss some, you know. So if you don't want to wait for me to find you, you're welcome to send your book. I accept all genres. I like to read. It's my goal to make this something that I can get paid to do, which I can do if I get 1,000 subscribers and meet the requirements of the YouTube algorithms. I would be able to monetize this, and it wouldn't cost the authors anything. And that's the goal, is free publicity for the indie authors. So yeah, if you want to send your book in, you are under no obligation to do so, but you are welcome to send me a book. I read all genres, and my goal here is not to give bad reviews. If I don't like the book, I'm just not going to put a video out for it. This is to get the spotlight on the indie authors who have books out, especially the ones that are good. Like, it doesn't take much to be a good writer. I promise you, it really doesn't. And that's the thing that I see a lot of this with new writers, is they're like, what if I'm not a good writer? You probably are better than you think. You just have to know how to tell a good story, and most of you do. I have not been disappointed by any of these books. So send your books in. Whether you're sending it to me or sending them to be published, get your work published. Be brave. Publish your works. You are much better a writer than you think you are. I promise you are. But yeah, you don't have to be afraid of getting a bad review from me. I do not do bad reviews. These are so that people can be informed of the books that are available by indie authors, so that they can, to help the indie authors find their readers, and for readers to find the new books that they can support indie authors on. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to see more videos and you don't want to miss anything, hit the notification bell so that you can keep updated. And you guys have a good day.